Hello, my name's Gabriel and I have what they call schizophrenia. Today's video is about my stories of psychosis, the things I went through when I was dealing with psychosis back in 2020. And so yeah, we're going to get into that, and I'm going to go into deep detail on some of the things I've experienced in psychosis and my experiences with schizophrenia. So if you haven't already heard my story, in 2020, I came off my medication. I was diagnosed with schizophrenia in 2015, and I came off my medication in 2020. And about 3 weeks later, actually instantly, like within 3 days of coming off my medication, I could feel this gloomy sense of darkness. Like everything just seemed to have like this grayish vibe to it. Like it was really gloomy. And that's the best way I can describe it. So not only was it very gloomy, but I was having nightmares and brain zaps. I was getting crazy brain zaps. It felt like I was being jolted out of my body. And when I slept, I only slept for a few hours every night. And it was just nightmares, scary nightmares. And after that, it progressed into me hearing voices. And I could really, like, the voices were more intense than ever before. And not only that, but shortly after, I started feeling like things playing with my hair. And when I was laying down, I could feel like this gravitational force, like magnets or something. Like when you feel the force between two magnets, it kind of felt like that going up my leg. And it was really uncomfortable and scary because I thought that they were spirits. So this whole psychosis in 2020 that I had, I was fixated on spirits and angels and demons, and I thought that angels were talking to me. And this is where it got really dangerous because it was like, if they're angels, then I should probably listen to what they're saying. And this is where I got out of control. The voices were there all day long. There wasn't one moment in the day where I didn't hear them, and it just got louder and louder and louder. And then it got to the point where the voices would say 3, 2, 1, and when it reached 1, my heart would start racing out of my chest. Like I could actually hear my heart beating in my chest. And this really messed with my head because it made me think that the voices were capable of controlling my heart. And this was a scary thought. And this is where I started to realize that the voices weren't actually angels. They were something bad, or it was psychosis or something. But I knew that they weren't angels at this point. And it really freaked me out, and I was very confused. I felt like I put my faith into this being, and it just screwed me over. Like, I was terrified. And then within like a month of going through this, I decided to come back on my medication. And I came back on it, and I slowly started to recover, and it took probably 2-3 years to fully recover. And just that one psychosis lasting a month or two, it took 2 or 3 years to recover from. So now I know I'll never go off my medication again. And other stories, this is a bit more sketchy. I would wake up with smashed cups on my floor. And this really bothered me because they probably fell off the desk or something. I don't know. But I thought at the time that ghosts were breaking cups on the floor and all this. But that's another story. That's a story for a different video. But I can see why people with schizophrenia, a lot of them, their beliefs are like religious and all of that, because it almost seems like there's a force behind the voices. And I fell victim to this belief too myself. But yeah, another story about psychosis that I used to go through. This is more so when I was out of psychosis, but it's still something that's related to my schizophrenia. I felt for about 2-3 years, from 2015 or 2016 up until about 2018, I had to wear sunglasses in public. Like, I could not show my eyes because I thought that if people looked into my eyes, they could see my soul. And I felt like I had to hide that from the public. So I would wear sunglasses whenever I went outside. And if I forgot my sunglasses and went outside, it would really, really bother me. So that's something that I went through for a couple years before my second psychosis. But my first psychosis, I'll tell you a bit about that as well. So my first psychosis, I was into making music. I was making instrumentals and beats on Fruity Loops. And I spent about 24 hours awake at a time. I then slept for 10 or 12. And I did this for a few months, making beats. And one night, I was doing something paranormal. If you haven't heard about this, check out my first video that I ever uploaded on this channel. It explains in depth what I mean by paranormal, but I was doing paranormal things, which is like, it involves ghosts and other things of that nature. And I was recording something and I could hear voices in the recording, and I ended up getting fascinated with it. I was interested, I was enlightened by it, and I spent 48 hours listening to these voices on a recording I made, and I just entered pure psychosis. I was terrified. They were saying things that scared me, and I freaked right out. Panicked for about 5 hours, went to bed, woke up, and got escorted to the hospital. And then I spent 9.5 weeks in the hospital. So that was my first psychosis. Spent 9.5 weeks in the hospital. Then I got released. Went to a homeless shelter. And then I ended up moving back to my mom's. And I started to recover. And then I went through psychosis again in 2020, which is my first story on this video that I shared with you. That was the second psychosis. So I've been through probably 2 psychoses in my entire life. And those are my stories. If you want to hear anything else about my psychosis, both my psychoses, if you have any questions, feel free to let me know in the comments. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I really appreciate it. Helps the YouTube algorithm get my videos out. And could change someone's life. So hit that subscribe button. It's free. My name's Gabriel, and I have what they call schizophrenia. Have a good night.